If you're a sales manager or a business owner or even a salesperson yourself, you've probably seen this happen. It's the point where a salesperson who has great skills, great track record, who has confidence, suddenly loses it. Suddenly is not the confident person they were just even 10 minutes before. It's such a common thing among salespeople, and to be honest, it's actually a human thing, but it plays out very bizarrely in sales, that all the skills and the confidence seem to go out the window. And that's because most people, salespeople included, have a level they feel comfortable playing at, and in this case, selling at. And anything beyond that level, they lose their confidence. But the interesting thing is, a lot of people don't know what that level is. They don't recognize it in themselves. Outwardly, somebody can pay attention to them and think, they're not doing what they normally do. They're not as proactive as they were. They're not as confident as they were. They hold back on providing a document or providing a quote or pushing for the close. Something just happens in their behavior which you can spot, which you may have noticed in yourself, because it happens to most people. And you think, why? And that's the puzzling thing. Often the salesperson doesn't know, and the sales manager or the business owner doesn't understand why it's happening or how to fix it. But this is where usually you can start spotting it. So the level of client, and I've worked with many companies, and when they are talking to one particular person, one level of client, this may be someone at a certain level of the hierarchy within the organization, they feel great, they feel confident. This is the person they can talk to and they can build rapport with and be happy with. But then it may be the CTO that they need to speak to, and then they lose their confidence. Or actually the CFO tends to scare people a lot. For a lot of people, it's a CFO. Now, obviously this is based on the individual, but there may be a person, that level or that job description where people just go, I can't do this. I don't know how to speak to this person. Boom. And their confidence goes. It may be the size of the contract. And I had a client a few years ago just said, we've got these sales teams that absolutely know how to sell. They are bringing home contracts, but they never create a big contract. They tend to do lots of small ones. And our client gets fed up with it. They want us to do it all in one go just for their logistics and their accounting practices. But they won't allow themselves to create big contracts, or they will not go for a big contract. So again, the amount of money involved. Often it's a limit where people think, I'm comfortable. This is the limit of the amount of money of the size of the deal. And anything above that, they start to get nervous. Or perhaps it's something like working internationally, something that's different. So there's many different reasons why it happens, but there's this limit. And it's like, yes, I can. No, I can't. And as sometimes it gets a bit close, it says, oh, I'm starting to lose my confidence, but you tip over that level and the behavior changes. That expert salesperson suddenly seems like a rookie. So if you need to go for bigger contracts or sell differently or deal differently with different clients, or you'll need your salespeople to talk to different people at different levels they've never spoken about before, you've got to ask the question, how many of your salespeople are holding themselves back because of this? Perhaps you even do it yourself. It's a very common human thing. But you have to dig in and change that so the behavior can change, so then they feel comfortable at that new level you need them to be at. And the two core reasons why people do this, and fear of failure and fear of judgment and criticism. Very common human things, and it affects salespeople too. But at this level, they're absolutely fine. Go above it, that fear of failure. What happens if I lose this big contract? And this is why a lot of salespeople don't go for the close as well. They don't finish it off and go, should we do this deal or not? Because they're worried about the consequences of that happening, the failure of losing that deal. Now, we all know that. you need to ask for it and finalize and get it over the line. But that fear of failure or fear of judgment or criticism as well, because that's a very human thing, not to be judged and criticized for making a mistake. So when the stakes are higher and they're bigger, often this jumps in and it shuts people down. It stops them working at their skill level. Imposter syndrome. Very simply, I don't know how to talk to a CTO. I don't know how to talk to a COO. I don't know. And you've got people who just cannot bridge that gap or have the skills of how to approach a high level people. Or it's just an exaggerated self-belief problem. We all have fears and doubts from time to time, but when we have an exaggerated one, this can really damage the income of the business. So these two things keep salespeople stuck and playing it safe within the area that they know. And they may have a great track record in that area that they are, that level that they are working in. But it means the team and the businesses won't grow. Perhaps when you need them to change. So this is what we deal with. What if that level could change, that level of playing safe was no longer a thing? What if you could challenge your team and they can actually have fun again, going to higher levels? Because a lot of people have this problem. About 40% of people have it to a pretty high level, even experienced salespeople. I've worked with people who've got amazing track records in sales, and then they still hold themselves back. It's solvable though. So if you imagine you were to be able to reach that new level, revenue level, take the level up because this stuff was no longer in the way. So that's where the rewards come from. We've got 20 years of experience of proving that we can do this. But it's not something that most people either are really consciously and clearly aware of they're doing. And even if they do understand they're holding themselves back, most people don't want to say to their sales manager or their boss, hey, I'm doing this. Who wants to say that I'm feeling nervous or lacking in confidence? Because they're going to get possibly judged or criticized and you're not good enough for the job or you're failing. So what most people do is they hide it. They hide it because they don't want to have that spotlight of them not being good enough put on them. But it happens everywhere. It's a very human thing, but it's a very expensive thing if you let it carry on. So if you think, yeah, some of my team, they're brilliant, but sometimes they just lose it, then please get in touch because we can help. This is what we do. We're really good at creating behavior change, which creates better results. It's as simple as that. So hopefully this has been useful to you. Get in touch if you think you have this problem. We can talk it through. We can diagnose whether you do or not, and then we can show you how to fix it actually quite quickly. It's not a tough fix because most of the time people don't realize they're doing it or they're, as I said, embarrassed about doing it. But if they're a good salesman at a certain level, there's no reason why their confidence has to turn off, once they hit this imaginary ceiling they have inside their heads. So please get in touch. It's a very fixable problem and results will change because of it. I promise you.